Here she is. This is big time now. Marnie, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How you doing?
I'm very starstruck, Terry.
Starstruck? Why? Because
By
Zach Fisher's in
you.
the by me?
Yeah,
Why?
big
What's so
fan.
starstruck?
Big
Yeah.
fan. Love your work. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Very flattered to be here.
no, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I've heard good things about you. The besties say great things about you. Um, and it was only a matter of time. I was just waiting for the moment, and the moment has arrived.
You can leave me a review after the after the recording.
We'll see. Well, it all depends on how this next part of the team show goes. That's all I'll say.
Okay. See if we're friends after or not.
I think we'll be friends. I
We'll
don't
be
know why.
friends because this team will literally just be Carlton players and like a sprinkle of North.
Well, I'm gonna say I don't know how much of the team show you were watching just now. I did have a few things to say about who I would potentially pick, but um, look, it's just a bit of fun. Before we do that, though, I would like to get your a bit. I mean, let the chat know who are you, and tell us a bit about what you do, and a bit about North Melbourne, and what's the narrative coming out of North from the North people.
So I'm Marnie. I'm literally 90% of my personality is being a North Melbourne supporter. I've been North supporter my whole life, and in 2011, so a very, very long time ago, I started my first blog called the North Melbourne Opinion. So 17-year-old me would just write about North all day, every day. Not while I was at school. School's important, but when I was at home in my spare time, and that kind of just turned into a bit of a life of talking about North Melbourne online for the last like 13-ish years. I've done podcasting. I write. I've had a stint in journalism and then decided to take a break from that. So PR in my 9 to 5, and then talking about North Melbourne in my 5 to 9. So now I am on a podcast called Further North. So it's myself and my co-host Josh. I joined as the co-host at the start of this year, and I was a guest last year. And then I've also just joined the Besties as the North Bestie, along with my very good friend and colleague Tyler, who's also a Mad North supporter.
Great. Well, that's exciting. It's good to see.
Yeah.
I was not aware that you had been writing for so long. You were, wow, smart cookie. You understood where the world was going.
I always wanted to be a journalist, so that's why I kind of and I knew I wanted to talk about footy, and I really enjoy footy as a whole, but I love North Melbourne. Like that's the passion for me. So it's like you with Carlton, like that's how I am with North.
Yeah.
So yes, I like the game and I understand the game, and I don't watch a lot of footy outside of North here and there during the week, but it's very North centric because I got that from my dad. So we were going to the footy every week together for like the last 20 years. So that's kind of where it came from. So yeah, it sort of just broke in early, and it kind of just grew from there. So yeah.
Great. Well, how are North going? What's your view on where the team's at, the club is at?
Look, I mean, there's so much to say. I think we're in a good position now, and hopefully we'll be on an upwards trajectory. That's kind of what I'm hoping. And I think for those who did catch our game against Freo, that first half was really, really exciting, and North ball was in full effect. And I think the it looked really good. It looked super exciting. When we attack and when we move the ball quickly down the field, we honestly look like we could beat anybody. But the flip side of that is our defense is pretty shaky. And that is not just a problem for the defenders, it's also a midfield issue. And so the ball comes so quickly, back the other end. We're pretty leaky. There's a lot of holes. Like you could just, the way that both the Giants and Freo chipped their way through our midfield was, too easy, like witches' hats at some points. And then the other issue with North is our forward line. I mean, we've got Nick Larkey, but, Alex Pearce completely ruined him when we played Freo last weekend, and while we did have an even spread of goal kickers, it just wasn't enough in the end, and not enough of those players step up and take their chances. So I think there's some great signs. Some of our young players are incredible, and they're really setting the bar. But you know, you need more than a young George Wardlaw or a young Harry Sheasel to be the one kind of leading the pack. I think you also really need proper leadership. And unfortunately, I just don't think with the exception of Larky, I don't think our real leaders are stepping up, or they're just not getting selected. I mean, our two most senior players on the list are Liam Shields and Hugh Greenwood, and they're not getting a game, which is fair enough. I mean, we need to obviously put games and energy into youth, but when you're co-captains, obviously McDonald and Simpkin only played their first games for the year last week, both coming off injury. But and these guys, and LDU's not really, he leads through his actions, but he's not a leadership figure. Cause had a pretty slow start to the season. Larky was well covered last week. So there's a few issues there, but I think in time it's a long game for North, and I think in time we'll be really good, and I think we'll be really, really hard to beat. But I guess if we can just keep seeing positive signs and keep going in that upward trajectory every single week, then that's all you can really ask for as a supporter at this point. You just want to see the improvement.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
it's a process. It is a process, isn't it? That's the hard part.
Yeah,
You
it
get sucked
is.
into results.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, footy's about winning, and I don't accept, I understand where we're at. We're rebuilding, and it's the first time in my time supporting the club that we've actually gone through this properly. We had a really from the end of 2016 into the end of 2022, and we appointed Clarko, murky, horrible, painful. We had one good season in 2018, and then 2019 Brad Scott was left halfway through the season, and we looked like just dynamic and really exciting under Reeshaw for that sort of second half of 2019, but it was all wasted because we're 10 times further back than we were then. But I guess you've got to go backwards to go forwards, and you've got to stick by the club. But I understand where we're at, but at the same time, if a game is winnable, you want to win it. And so you don't want to get sucked into accepting mediocrity and just banging on about honourable losses and stuff. I'm realistic at where we're at. I do have Delulu positivity and optimism from time to time. I'm definitely the more optimistic of myself and Josh on the podcast. But at the same time, I go to the footy and I want to see us win. And I think there are games that we've slipped in the last 12 months that we probably should have won. And so I'm hoping we can at least win a few more this season, especially in Melbourne. We only won one game in Melbourne last year, so that would be nice.
Okay. It's time.
It's time.
Shall we?
I'm ready. I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
All right. Tov, now, these are the teams. So what we'll do is I try and make this a session where there's minimal preparation as possible. We're doing it live and as close to when the teams are announced. I was a bit surprised to see no changes for North, but obviously...
Yeah, so was I.
Backing in the boys, and they're just giving them another crack. Before we start with selecting, I do want to ask about Zach Fisher. How have you received our boy Zach Fisher?
He's been great on and off field. I'm a big fan of Fish. I think he is so composed and makes great decisions under pressure. And in a backline like ours, where the ball is coming in at a frenetic pace and they're just getting slammed, you can really trust the ball will be, used to its best effect when it's in his hands. So I've really, really enjoyed having him as part of our side, and I think that he will really flourish for us. He did have an opportunity to score a goal in the last quarter last week, which he unfortunately missed. And I think that's something that, in time, I would hope that if that opportunity came up again, he would nail it. But he was, he's excellent. And I think that while a lot of Carlton fans, I think, was sad to see him go, on the flip side, I think that he wouldn't have got the opportunity at Carlton like he's getting at North, which is a good problem to have for Carlton. And I think he'll add something great to our side, but, maybe one day we might be in that same position. Who knows? It's a win-win situation, I think, for everyone, for all parties. Yeah. And off the field, I mean, he's a legend. I'm sure you know Terry. He's
Yeah.
such a great guy, and he's just he's a
Yeah.
gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have a relationship per se or know many of the players per se. Fish was one of the few that I knew because he was just aware of the channel. I got to meet him and his mum, his lovely partner, Bella. So,
Sweet.
yeah, wish him all the best. But for now, he's the enemy, and that's the way it's going to be. So
Okay.
let's start. So what we'll do is, being the guest, you can start. We'll go with our backline first, and you can pick 6
Yeah.
names, and then I'll have my 6 names. We can do a little bit of a debate, and then we'll go line by line, and we'll just see what it looks like. So, Marnie, feel free to kick us off. Who would your back 6 be from these 14 options?
So I would have Waiters and Zach Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I would have Harry Sheasel, Zach Fisher. I'd have Sard. And I don't know, because Mitch McGovern's had a pretty good start to the year.
Yep.
But on the flip side, and this is going to be my bias coming in, but I don't really care. If you're only playing 2 tall defenders, then
Mm-hmm.
Aiden Core is definitely better as the second defender than the third defender. And I think that's why he's had a bit of a rough start to the year, because I think playing with Dawson and Pink in the side, who are both playing as tall defenders, kind of cramps his style.
Interesting.
So I feel like having him in there wouldn't be reflective of the last 2 games he's played. It's the fact that I've gone for only one other tall, and I know that would suit his game style and it would enable him to have a really good game. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I just don't rate him.
I know, I'm in the minority here, okay?
Respectfully. So honestly, before you came on, I was saying the only one of that back 6 that I would have in a combined 6 would be Sheasel. Fisher can't get a game in Carlton's team. Therefore,
I know, but I can't leave him out considering how strong he's been for us in the first two rounds. So I've got to back him in. I think I'll go McGovern. I don't trust any of our defenders enough at the moment to be able to. Yeah.
So this is my proposal.
Here he goes.
If you have a look, basically the way I'm proposing this is these 3 will stay the exact same. These 2 will stay the exact same, and I'll put Sheasel here, and then we have got a team that'll punish teams off turnover like you wouldn't believe. Fisher, I'm just going to wait. Maybe we'll see what happens with the bench or the the sub. I'm not totally dropping him, but that would be my proposal for the back 6.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
All right. Fantastic.
I did phone a friend before I jumped on just to make sure I was across everyone at Carlton. So I'm pretty, that's fine with me.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jasmine is going to have a few words for us if Caleb Marchbank doesn't make this team, but we'll have to deal with that.
Wait for the punishment.
Okay, so so keeping in mind we'll have a bench and a sub. So not everyone will completely miss out. What we'll do now is we'll put our center line and our followers together as like the 6 midfielders. Let's have a crack. Let's do our center line.
Well, what annoys me is that Bailey Scott's on the bench, but Bailey Scott I would absolutely have on the wing starting.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, so I'd have Bailey Scott. I would have LDU and Cripps. Gee whiz. No, hold on. I'd have Bailey Scott and Adam Chera on each of the wings.
Okay.
And then I would put Cripps in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would play Sherry.
Over DeConing.
Yep.
Let's unpack that a little bit.
He's had a very, very, very good start to the year. And that takes a lot for me to say because I'm really not a fan of Sherry. And I think that I just think he's had a little bit of a bigger presence than DeConing.
Oh.
You're like, I hate this so much.
No, he's had a really good start to the year, Sherry. He has. He's actually been.
I know DeConing's keeping Pitnet out of the side, so I completely so I can understand the argument.
Who have you played? Who are the teams that you've played? You played Freo and
the Giants.
Okay, so Briggs and Jackson, and then DeConing's done a really good job against Nankervis and Oscar McInerney. I would probably lean DeConing clearly, just because of the quality of the position. Yeah.
No surprises there.
Yeah, I like Bailey Scott, but I'm not sure if Bailey Scott takes over Blake Acres. Like I like what you did there, putting Chera on the wing. I actually, my thought was in that center line, it was Scott, Cripps, Acres, and then DeConing, Chera, and LDU. Like I would take LDU. Oh, I'll tell you what, Hewitt's been good, and Chera hasn't been at his best.
And George Wardlaw's been like next level incredible.
He has. I just don't know if he's been better than the Carlton boys, you know? I've got some spots on the bench reserved for.
Oh, okay. We're reserving.
Yeah,
the North boys are the bench formers, are they?
Oh, I think the North. I think the North is the B side here. That's all.
Yeah, no, we can agree on that. Okay, so Scott, Cripps, Acres.
Yep.
DeConing, LDU, Chera.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me.
All right. The bench, it's going to be fascinating how we do that, but we'll get there.
Oh, I'm pulling Hugh Greenwood out of the emergency and putting him on the bench.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good luck with that.
I think North fans would be coming after me too, not just you and Carlton fans. Trust me.
If you want Sherry and you think we should play 2 rucks in this team, by all means, we can have him on the bench. Not a problem.
No, we don't need 2 rucks in this team.
Okay, great.
Because it's clear that both of them can carry the ruck themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd literally rather blow my brains out than have 2 teams with Callan Coleman Jones in it. 1 North Melbourne team is enough, let alone a hypothetical team.
Great. That's easy.
Okay, forwards.
So the forwards. How about I start this time?
Okay, you start.
I'll give a 6. All right. So I can only find room for Larky. And mind you, I don't know if you know this, but I have a bit of beef with Larky. And that stems back to 2022 when he tunneled Lewis Young, which was not on. But, we'll forgive and forget.
Yeah, we've got to put our personal negative feelings aside.
Yes. So I will play Larky with Harry and Charlie in the forward line.
Scary forward line.
Scary. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go. Zurhaar looks good, but he doesn't perform consistently enough. But I think I have to put him in. So I'll go Zurhaar, Harry. Zurhaar, Harry, and Nick Larky.
Yeah.
With Elijah Hollands. Sorry, Elijah in the half forward flank. Then I'll put Larky in the forward pocket next to Charlie Curnow. And Fogarty's going to stay. Fogarty's been great.
Okay.
Basically, it's
I've
Larky
heard
and
he's been playing his role very well.
very much, yeah, very well.
It's such a Zerha's a really, really interesting one because I find him such a momentum player. Like, I think he's someone that has to constantly like, he's kinda gotta just if he doesn't have a good start to a game, I don't it's so hard for him to work his way into the game. I think he's gotta be on from the start. However, we've been rotating him through the midfield, and I feel like that's when he's been actually kind of at his most dangerous. He's an incredibly frustrating player. I find him really, really difficult to kind of read. Um, his versatility and his ability to change a game, though, makes him too dangerous to leave out of the side. And I think that Paul Curtis has that same capacity, but
Oh, he
Paul
does.
Curtis just isn't like Paul Curtis. The thing with Paul Curtis is his defensive pressure and work's been very, very good this season. And I'd almost say that I wouldn't, he's had a different start to the season to Zerha because I think he's had a better start up forward, but Zerha, when he goes into the middle, he's a wrecking ball. Like, he's a genuine bull, and the clearance work and is incredible. I also really like Zane Dersma's start to the year. I think he's been really good. His work rate's really good. The way he can push up the ground as well and present a really good option. He's got a great set of hands, which we really don't have a lot of those players. Um, I'm almost
Zerha,
tempted to put I'm
Zerha
almost
for
tempted
me.
to swap. I don't know. I'm always tempted to say Curtis should be in there instead of Zerha, which is huge because for me to
Oh,
say. Yeah.
I felt like Zerha was like Chera, who they both haven't been at their prolific best for the first two games, but they're just so good. So I thought I had to
You
like show
can't.
some respect.
Yeah, I know what you mean because I'm thinking and I'm just like, well, has he had that? He
Well, he
has
also
had a
plays
good
well
start
against
to
us, Zerha.
he has had a good start to the year. It's just it's a different look for him. It's that when he's been like he has been good, but it's when he goes into the middle that he's really dangerous,
Mm.
which is like contradictory because we're putting him on a half forward flank
Oh, mate, we're going to be rotating these boys through the midfield. Like Elijah Hollins will be rotating in the
everywhere.
midfield. Oh, yeah. Because we got three big boys that we have to, clear out the space for.
I think Zerha makes sense if you're going like overall like game. I think he's definitely the one you would play.
Okay.
But Paul Curtis is pretty stiff there. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy with that forward line.
All right. Now it gets fun because we have a bench and we have all the guys that were stiff not to get named on the field.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we'll both do two players,
Okay. Yeah.
and we'll do it one by one. So you can start with naming one player on the bench.
I can't leave out George Wardlaw. I think that would be a crime to
I
leave
agree.
Georgie
Yeah.
out. Yeah, he's got to be in there.
I will match your George with George Hewitt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So George Hewitt's been tremendous the first two games, back to his best.
Mhm.
So yeah, on to you.
I am going to say I'm not really fussed on any of the other North players. How bad is that?
Yeah, you can put a Carlton player in. I put two Brisbane players in, I think, the other week. Yeah.
I am going to put in Jordan Boyd.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Love it.
That's my mail. My mail's telling me that he's had a flying start to the year.
That is going to go down very well with the chat. Let me tell you that. Because I don't know if I would have put Jordan Boyd in.
Well, I had to, like I said to you, I needed to just make sure I was across all of the controversial and ins and
Yeah.
outs of Carlton. So yeah, I'm gonna put Jordan Boyd in there.
All right. My final player on the bench. We need proper small forwards, like actual small forwards. and for that
Mm.
reason, conflicted because I sponsor Corey Durden,
Yeah.
but Matt always is the one in form.
Yeah.
So for the sake of integrity, I think I have to say Matt always here because Connors,
Okay.
sorry, I take
Oh,
everything back.
no.
I take everything back. Matt
Okay.
Cottrell.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's has to play.
Yeah.
Hard runner, 2 ways. Yeah.
That's what you want. It's so hard to find someone that's just a hard worker.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now we have to really debate on a sub.
So I would go Paul Curtis as a sub.
How many goals did Paul Curtis? I'm putting you on the spot, but how many goals did Paul
He's
Curtis
kicked, I
kick
think.
last year?
Oh, last year? I couldn't tell you. I think he's kicked 4 or 5 for the year so far.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Jaden Stevenson, aside from Larky, Jaden Stevenson was our second highest goal scorer last year, and I wouldn't put Jaden Stevenson in the side.
Mm.
But the reason I'd put Curtis in there is obviously his form to start the year has been really, really good. Up forward, but he's also, his defensive pressure. He has X factor. He's one of the only players in our side that have genuine X factor. But when I always think about the sub, I'm always inclined to go midfielder, right? It's just, I
Right.
feel like that's a natural thing. But I always think about what my co-host Josh says, and he's always like, I want someone that can change the game. And Paul Curtis is someone that can change the game, and there's enough versatility in that side that if Paul Curtis came in, you could push someone up, to the midfield or, this or that. So I think that he has the potential to change and win a game if you're using the sub tactically over an injury. So that's why I would have Paul Curtis as the sub.
I feel like it's fair, given that I took DeConing over Sherry, and you could argue Sherry's numbers look better. You know what, Marnie?
You hate it, but you're gonna do it anyway.
I'm gonna. I like a bit of Paul Curtis, although Matt always did kick more goals last year in a team that finished in a prelim. But you know what? I'm here to play. I'm here to play along. So Paul Curtis can be the sub. I also really like him. I think he's a really good player.
Yeah, he's a great player. I had my question marks around him at the start of the year, whether his best and worst are way too far apart. But always willing to have a player like change my mind. And he's definitely, I know we're only 2 rounds into the season, but he's definitely changed my mind so far.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. So just to recap, let's go back. Newman, McGovern, Sard, Williams, Wiedering, Sheasel.
Yeah.
Bailey Scott, Cripps, Akers, DeConing, Chera, LDU, Chera.
Yeah.
Zerha, Mackay, Elijah, Larky, Charlie Kerno, Lockie Fogarty.
Yeah.
And then George Wardlaw, George Hewitt, Jordan Boyd, and Matt Cottrell with Paul Curtis as the sub.
That's not a bad looking team.
We would definitely win the flag.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, we would definitely win the flag.
Are we going under Carlton or are we going under North?
Well, seeing as there's 90.
The Carlton Kangaroos.
That
sounds terrible. Forget who said that.
I mean, the North Blues, I was thinking, the Northern Blues, because we used to have the affiliation with the Northern Blues.
Yes, you did.
I mean,
I've just gone Carlton Kangaroos.
With
and
respect.
I hate the kangaroo thing as well. So
yeah.
that triggers me so hard. I only call us North Melbourne or the Kangas. Never call us the Kangaroos.
Okay. Now I know which button to push.
Yeah, it's only North Melbourne. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Thanks for joining in. I thought that was done in good spirit.
That was great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So before I let you go, I'm going to put.
Yes.
You've got a YouTube channel, right?
We have a YouTube channel. We've got all the socials. Further North, you can watch the YouTube there. We've
Yep.
put all of
So,
our episodes on there.
mate, wait till you
And then
see
we've
what happens
got,
now.
oh no.
So you've got 687 subs. Guys,
Mm.
get down to Further North and hit the subscribe button. I can see your latest episode is actually with the Carlton besties.
Yeah, so we had
Wow.
so Jazz and Hannah
Hmm.
came down to record with Josh and I, and it was a very fun episode actually that we recorded. So it's our little Good Friday preview. And you can just hear me get really unhinged and tip us for, and I've stuck with it. I've stuck with it all week.
Okay. Well, let
And
me
when we
tell you
win,
now.
I'm gonna come and find you tomorrow, Terry, when we win.
Hey, you know where to find me. I'm here in the studio, fan cams. If we win, the meltdown of all meltdowns will begin at about 8 p.m. here in the studio. So,
Me, just like, what's going on? I said we were gonna win.
on the BA channel as well,
R.I.P.
on your debut,
R.I.P.
you got to come in
I
hot.
know, seriously. Gotta leave an impression, and they get a first chance to make a first impression, so I may as well make it a memorable one.
That's right. No, that was fun, Marnie. It's been great to connect with you. Those of you watching, go and
Thanks.
subscribe to Further North. And if you end up, well, go and watch the preview and just leave a comment and just write BA or BA sent me. And yeah, see how we go with that. Marnie, what else? So, I mean, all right, you're predicting a win. What about a
Mm.
storyline from the game? What happens?
I reckon it's gonna be neck and neck pretty much the whole game.
Okay.
And I think LGU will have an absolute cracker of a game. And I think that I think Zerha will live, Paul Curtis will live, but I think that of all the players, I think, and it kills me to say this because he's a big reason why Hugh Greenwood's not playing, but I actually am going to back CCJ to have a bit of I feel like he's on his final straw. I feel like if he doesn't perform tomorrow, then maybe never see him again. Like I'm that
Wow.
serious.
What
Yeah, I'm at that.
cutthroat.
I'm already at that. I'm already at that point, to be honest. I just, my that Charlie Convin played 7 games last season, and then he broke his ankle really badly. We played the D's, and he didn't play the rest of the year, and now he's been reborn as a defender, and he's not playing. I feel like if they needed to, they could pull him forward. I mean, Greenwood is essentially playing that CCJ role of the second tall forward and, pinch hitting the ruck. You've got a guy, Sellers, who we signed from our VFL team. He kicked sixth in the VFL last week. Obviously, it's a completely different league, VFL, AFL, but he's banging down the door for an opportunity. I mean, this guy's done nothing. Even before, the season started, he was really ordinary in the preseason games that we had. Like, I was there against St Kilda and he was just no good. I just want us to. I think we'll stick with Carlton. This is what I think will happen. I think it'll be neck and neck all game, and I think we'll stick with Carlton for most of it. But we'll have patches, like 10 to 15-minute patches, where we can just like get on a bit of a roll. I think I love what Carlton's done over the last year and a half, and I think I was talking to my friend before I jumped on air about this, and I said that if North were doing what Carlton had done, I would be the most insufferable, most unhinged pain in the ass because I'd just be up and about with I'm up and about if we play a half good footy. Do you know what I mean?
I remember those days.
But I think the one thing with Carlton that concerns me is that, and kind of showed a lot against Richmond, is I still think that they probably get ahead of themselves a little bit at times. I think they went into that game, and Richmond were horrific in opening round against the Suns, and they really got showed up, by the Suns. And I think that they rebounded against Carlton, and Carlton just fell over the line. Whereas I feel like that game should have been won by halftime by Carlton, and it should have been a 8, 9, 10 goal win. And so I think that this is a similar situation. Now, whether they've learnt their lesson from the Richmond game or not, time will tell. The reality is that Carlton probably too good, and Carlton should win this game comfortably. But I've just got this weird feeling about it, and I hope I'm not setting myself up for heartbreak because us girls always break our own hearts harder than anybody else does. So.
Well, yeah, I can confirm your heart will be broken tomorrow. but that's okay. Because life goes on and time heals all wounds. And
Sure.
you now have some new friends here in the Blue Abroad community that will stick with you, and will probably start watching you for a long time.
Yeah,
I
please
like.
just console me if we lose. I don't want anyone saying, "Ha ha." Just console me if
No,
we
we'll be
lose,
good. We'll be good. I think
please.
we'll be in good spirit. I think you've summarized that us pretty well. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I think against Richmond, there was just a lack of that full focus, whether it's because we got ahead of ourselves, whether it's because we had the big emotional win the week before against the Lions, and it was just talked about all
Yeah,
week, whatever. We've had the rest now, had the bye. Most teams came out last year after the bye and lost. We were one of the only few that won. So there is that, but I'm looking at our boys as a much more emotionally mature group, more professional group.
definitely.
And I think we'll pull away. I do think North will test us. I think in red time, I actually look at North similar to what we used to be, and I think the red time goals tomorrow will be something that Carlton take advantage of.
Yeah, we
Now,
always let them slip.
mhm.
Yeah,
And there's a man tomorrow who makes his debut for the club, and I just think there's so much symbolism with it. Pesach incoming. You got Elijah Hollands making Aliyah, coming back to the homeland at Carlton, and just there's a lot going on. So Elijah to kick 2, maybe 3, have about 18 to 19 touches, and he's gonna have 50,000 new fans watching him tomorrow, and I'm really excited for him.
it's exciting. I think what the Blues are doing, is great. And obviously, we're enemies tomorrow, but for the most part, like I love, what they're doing. And there are so many likable characters, and Vossi is the most likable of all of them, in my opinion. I think he's great. Um, and it's just it gives, I'm sitting here now, and I hope, no offense, I hope our rebuild doesn't take 2 decades to get to where Carlton are now.
Fair enough.
But it gives hope to, like North supporters, or whoever else in Kilda in that same basket. You could potentially throw the Bulldogs in there as well. Like, Carlton have always been a big club, but they haven't been this real dominant force off and on field for a very, very, very long time. And so,
Mm,
we'll probably never reach the peaks off field like a Carlton, but on field, I think if we can kind of the pieces are slowly starting to pull together. So, I just think back to like Good Friday last year, we didn't have a back line either. We had no Griffin Logue, we had no Mackay, they were both out. So we had Aiden Bonner and Aiden Core. And this is when I didn't like Aiden Core either. So, we were somehow able to, stick with Carlton. If it wasn't for that third quarter, you just don't know. So maybe I'm just, living in the past and manifesting it for the future. But I'm excited for tomorrow. It'll be a good game.
amazing. All right. Well, Marnie, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed
Pleasure
this.
is mine.
Yeah.
Hopefully the first of many. If you want me to talk about Carlton, I can do that too.
You want to come and talk about Carlton? That's the key. That's key to my
That's
heart is
my
the
pass
Blue.
in.
That's how it works.
Done.
That's how it works. Easy done.
Done. Next time it'll be all Carlton chat.
All right. We'll see you next time. Good luck tomorrow-ish, but more importantly,
Thank
good luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thanks, Terry. I'll speak to you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.